Good morning. My name is Jacob Booth, and I am the Weird Christian Dude. Today we're going to start the expositional study of the Bible. That just means chapter by chapter and talking about it. It's relatively simple. I'll be doing some topical Bible studies also, but those take quite a bit more work. So we're just going to start with Genesis chapter 1. There is 1,189 chapters in the King James Bible. So at one chapter a day, that is still more than 3 years of study. So pray for me. This might take a while. Chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and the darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. That's probably one of the most famous verses in the entire Bible. And actually, I think of Star Trek when I read that, when they just say light, and then the light turns on. But God did it first, so he's cooler. Verse 4, and God saw the light, and it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning was the first day. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." And God made a firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. So the firmament heaven here refers to both the sky and outer space. And people get a little confused because we use one word heaven for actually three things, because there's also the third heaven, which is where God lives. And God said, verses 9, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. And God called the land earth, the dry land earth, and the gathering of the waters he called seas. And God saw it was good. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, and herb yielding seed, and the fruit yielding fruit after its kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth." And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass, and the herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good. I should say like this. And the evening and the morning were the third day. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven, and divide the day from the night, and let them be as for signs, and for seasons, and for days, and for years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth." And it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. And he made the stars also. And God set them in a firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth, to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light and the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. So here God refers to the firmament of heaven again, and describes the sun and the moon and the stars. Heaven, therefore, being outer space. Verse 17. Verse 20. And God said, "Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and fowls that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven." So here we have birds flying in heaven, meaning sky. One word, multiple meanings, but in context, it's really easy to understand what is being said. So, all right, verse 21. And God created great whales, and every light creature, and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly, after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters and the seas, and let the fowl multiply upon the earth. So, verse 22, God blesses the animals and tells them to make more animals. I remember this supposedly a riddle in like grade school. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, this is really easy. The chicken came first, and then God told it, make more chickens, lay some eggs. But like, it's not a trick question, but unless you don't read the Bible at all. All right, and verse 23. And the evening and the morning were the fifth day. And God said, Let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and beasts of the earth after his kind. And it was so. And God made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and the cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God said, Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let him have dominion over the fish of the sea, and the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So, verse 26 is extremely important in multiple ways. God refers to himself in plurality 3 times. Let us make man in our image, after our likeness. And that is the first hint of the Holy Trinity, which we get to more later, but it's a core doctrine from the start. What else? This also separates people from animals, because a lot of times in modern culture, people don't understand that there's a difference, but there is. People are people, and animals are animals. And this is why we are made after God's image and likeness. And animals are just like, God want to make something cool, so let's make a giraffe. Yeah. And that's how it works. Where was I? Verse 27. And God created man in his own image, and in his image created he him. Male and female created he them. This is interesting, again. So God refers to himself as he, always. God is masculine. He's a spirit, but he's masculine. And he created man and woman. And that's it. There's no other options. That's not popular in our culture, but that's the way it is. And anyone that isn't brainwashed with, I don't know, liberalism will understand that. So there you go. There is only 2 genders, ever, and you cannot switch between the 2. Verse 28. And God blessed them, and said with them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. Verse 28 is also very important. This is the job of humanity. Like, what are people here to do? What is our purpose? Verse 28, that is our purpose. Not in a way that's meant to be struggled, like and hardship. God blessed us with a purpose. And the first thing is be fruitful and multiply. So that's have children. It's people are commonly against that nowadays, and they want more freedom and independence. But then later in life, you're lonely. Well, God says have children. They're good. He also wants you to replenish the earth and subdue it. 2 things, same, because building stuff is important. I know there's a Native American controversies in the United States, but that's not how God wanted us to live. Not meant to be Aborigines and just running around in loincloths like animals. We're meant to build stuff and subdue the earth and replenish it. So it's not a destructive thing. That's why God puts them in the garden later. You make it useful and it's not destroyed, it's just put in order. Which goes to the next part where he says to have dominion over everything. So dominion means rulership and authority. So it gets more into that later with kings and kingdoms and such. But that's important. That's something that God gave us to do. Like, it's not ours, it's God's. We're just in charge of it. And the more we do things His way, the better the outcome is. But ultimately, that also means all authority comes from God. He made it, it's His, He put us in charge of it. But we still have to answer to Him. All right, where was I? Verse 29. And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which the fruit of the tree yielding seeds, to you it shall be for meat. That's basically the first diet was grain, nuts, and fruit. I know it's a little, King James says this would be for meat, but that means food. God didn't have animals dying yet because there wasn't sin in the world to cause that. Get to that later also. But that was the original diet. Yeah, so. And to verse 30, and to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat, and it was so. That means there's no carnivores, there's no predatory animals. God made everyone and everything to coexist infinitely. But again, that's not how things are currently. Verse 31. And God saw everything that He had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. So this is extremely important. And I wrote down, see, verse 5, 8, 13, 19, 23, and 31. God says it was evening and morning each day. Because they're days. They're not thousands of years. They're not millions of years. They're not some abstract amount of time. It's 6 little days. Because that's what God said it is. You don't have to agree, but that's what it actually says. And people have asked, well, why did God do it so quickly? And like, actually, He took His time. Because He could have snapped everything into existence all at once. But He did it. He wanted to show us how much He cares about His things and the process that He used. So there's probably more to it than that, but He set up the system for the universe to exist in an orderly fashion, if that makes sense. I'd also like to point out that in verses 11, 12, 21, 24, and 25, multiple times in most of the verses, it says, after their kind. So that's not species, that's a larger group if you look into what kind means in a sort of scientific terminology. Basically means dogs are dogs, and they make dogs. There's a lot of different breeds of dogs, and they look a lot different in some cases, but it's still a dog. You're never going to get two dogs to make an elephant. Won't happen. They don't spawn wings. Won't happen. Dogs are always dogs, and that's their kind. So it comes later on with Noah's Ark, and he puts in two animals of each kind. Well, that's two dogs. There you go. And then all the other dogs come from it later on. Not 11,000 breeds of dogs. That's just silly. That's not what it says. So that completely destroys evolution in both cases. But there you go. That is Genesis chapter 1. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or observations, you are welcome to let me know. There's probably somewhere to comment or something. Uh, have a wonderful evening, and you are always welcome to talk to me.